we are discussing an important aspect. The Indian Parliament is in uproar over a book written by former Indian Army Chief M.M. Naravane. General Naravane, who was the Indian Army Chief between December 2019 and April 2022, has authored a book, 4 Stars of Destiny. The book and its contents are still under review of the Ministry of Defence. It has not been okayed in the past 2 years. The book was supposed to come out in January 2024. It was even pre-orders were okayed on a leading web portal to purchase the book then, but the book went back and the Ministry of Defence has held back. It's under review. Now, as the review was on, or still under, the book was still under wraps, a magazine in India has published excerpts from the book. And yesterday, the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, picked out that magazine and read out the flaws, or what he said was wrong handling of the India-China dispute or India-China border dispute in April 2020 when the standoff started. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh questioned Gandhi whether the book had been published, which he had been citing. The book, of course, has not been published. Gandhi was citing from a magazine which had published the excerpts of the book. Now, the book contents itself are like General Naravane giving out details of what had happened. And the government is not very happy with the events, the turn of events at the moment. Now, I'll take you back to what had actually happened. Then, in the 3rd week of April 2020, the Chinese army has started building up along the line of actual control in Eastern Ladakh. The Eastern Ladakh shares around 832 kilometers of LAC, or the disputed boundary with China. Around 40,000-50,000 troops had built up, and the first clashes had started, skirmishes had started between Indian troops and the Chinese troops. Also, on the night of 5th and 6th of May, there was a major clash. A few people were seriously injured, and a standoff ensued with both sides. Military men standing literally between rifle shot of each other. Coming back to what had actually happened in that period. Now, during the winter months, Ladakh has a winter in March and April. Indian Army maintains a presence of around 10,000 troops, and the long-range patrolling is suspended, and largely patrols go but come back, and the mountain peaks are not held because the snow is so much. Even the Chinese don't hold the peaks at that given point of time. Indian Army builds up during the summer. They have summer patrols, and thousands of troops add up in the summers and return back in the winters. This was the practice before 2020. Now, in April 2020, when the first clashes happened, as I told you, in May also the first clashes happened. The first clash happened at the Finger 5 in Pangong Tso, the northern bank of Pangong Tso. Around the 14th or 15th of May 2020, General Naravane, then the army chief, said that it was a routine matter, and he said it in a televised interview. And also, later, as the listeners and viewers may be aware, 1 month after these words of General Naravane, the Galwan clash happened. 20 of Indian troops lost their lives, and almost an equal number of Chinese troops also lost their lives. It was a bloody clash which led to an extended military standoff between the two sides. And that standoff has actually ended, but still, the thousands of troops, the number between 40 to 50,000 troops, remain embedded close to the LAC on both sides. I must tell here, the Chinese have the benefit of the terrain. The Tibetan plateau is flat on their side. For us, the Indian side, to access the Eastern Ladakh side or along the LAC, needs to cross one of the high passes, either the Zojila or the Rotangla-Barlachla axis via Manali. The Zojila axis is via Srinagar. How India has to maintain those troops now, because the two sides, the special representatives, have met and decided that the border area will be settled and demarcated. These are the things which happened in the last SR level talks. Special representatives Ajit Doval, the national security advisor from the Indian side, and Wang Yi, the foreign minister of China, is the SR from the Chinese side. Till then, Naravane, coming back to General Naravane's book, I will take it into 3 separate parts. First, the Indian response was surprise when the Chinese army, which was actually doing an exercise in the Tibetan plateau in April 2020, rapidly turned towards the LAC and stationed themselves along the LAC in Eastern Ladakh. It's a very sensitive area, strategically important for India. The clashes happened, and the Galwan clash happened, and military standoff ensued. The second part of the clash happened in the end of August 2020. That's near Rinchanla. Rinchanla is near Razangla, where the famous battle in 1962 was fought with Major Shaitan Singh under Paramveer Chakra. When Chinese tanks were approaching from their side of the LAC, our tanks also stationed across on our side of the Rinchanla, and the two standoff ensued. One person of the Indian army also lost his life, and the standoff carried on for a long period. Also the Kailash Hills, loosely called the Kailash Hills, but it's actually Rinchanla. Now, the standoff was pulled off back, and General Naravane is referring to that incident also in his what has been published by Caravan, that the tanks, and he sought some instructions from the government. To put it in right perspective, it was a surprise to start off in April. India responded by putting in troops, tanks, machine guns, missiles along the LAC. The response naturally took a couple of weeks. The build-up took a couple of weeks from the Indian side, and then India held back its standoff positions till October 2024, when the standoff was announced to have ended. As I told you, the troops still remain. General Narawane's book has rekindled what has happened during that period. This video is to tell you how that thing happened and how the tension still prevails. Probably, I will conclude here by saying that India was surprised in April 2020 when the Chinese troops built up. Then we held our positions, and probably in the longer run, in the larger picture, if we see it, that there was some error of judgment over the assessment of the Chinese military movement in Tibet in April 2020 when they turned towards the LAC. We end the video here. With me is my colleague Manas Ranjan Bhui from Delhi. We'll keep on updating you as the issue hots up in Parliament, with both sides alleging several things based on a book which is yet to be published, but its excerpts are out in the public domain.